Welcome to Tuesday's video, probably little theater participants. This is going to be for all of my classes, and today we're going to talk about how to paint our boxes and how to create a pattern to build specific items with cardboard sculpture. So I hope you've been practicing some of your tab building and some of your flanges and some of your hinges, and if you get some extra time today, maybe you can spend some time doing more with those. But today, specifically, we're going to talk about how to prep your cardboard for tomorrow's lesson. So I have a cereal box here. You guys could choose to use one of your flat cardboard pieces that came in your kits, or if you have additional cardboard, I would say paint a couple of these so that you have some extra pieces. So either a couple of your cardboard flat pieces or a couple of boxes. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pop open the bottom of my cereal box. And then I'm going to use my scissors. You guys have scissors that came in your kits to cut this open so that it lays flat. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so step one is to paint the inside of your cardboard. These extra little flappy pieces, I'm going to be honest with you, it's better to take them off so they're kind of out of the way, because you might decide to use those as extras, but most of the time they have like little tears and snafus on them that are not super helpful in building. So if you wanted to do some of your practice things with those pieces, you definitely could. If you want to try some slot building, or if you wanted to work on maybe turning some of those into hinges, that would be great. Otherwise, you can recycle the cardboard. That would be fine as well. So I'm going to take these extra pieces and put them to the side. All right, so if you need a minute, you can pause the video, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my brush. You guys had a brush that came in your kit, and you had white paint. So you're going to take your white paint and your brush, and you're going to paint this entire brown surface. So if you have cardboard, you have two brown surfaces if it's the pre-purchased kind that was in your kit, but you may also have additional cardboard. And so if you have cardboard that looks like this, you're going to want to paint over the top of the graphics. So I'm going to demo that for you, but I'm going to start with the brown side. If both of your sides are brown, just pick one, it's fine. And then we're going to paint this on. And if you haven't spent a lot of time painting, you don't want to push your paintbrush. You want to pull the paintbrush and sweep it back and forth. So we're going to sweep it back and forth and cover all across the cardboard. And the reason why we are painting this white, you could build cardboard sculptures and not paint it, but we are going to do a really cool process of tattooing our cardboard sculptures later this week. So for the tattoos to show up, the cardboard has to be white or light colored. If you did this again, you could do any kind of pastel like tint color that had, like pink or lavender or peach or something like that, and your tattoos would show up on that as well. But to keep it simple, this week we're going to go with white. And you'll notice that I swept the paint back and forth just all the way across, and I left the edges, and you see the edges here and here, because I don't want to paint on my table. So if you're painting at home, you can take an extra piece of cardboard or paper and just put it on the edges, and then come back and sweep it back and forth this way. That way, if you get any paint that comes off the side, it's not all over your parents' kitchen table, which would be amazing. Now, if you notice, my cardboard is doing something called buckling. So if it, instead of laying flat, it has a curve in it now. You see it at the bottom there. And so that's going to be the natural reaction when you get paper wet. It's going to curve, and that's totally fine. The reason why I have you painting today instead of tomorrow in class is because I want this to be all dry, and I want you to flatten it so that we don't have a big curve in our paper. So once you painted the one side, you can turn it around and paint the other side. And as you add paint, because the paint has water in it, as you add the paint, it's going to curl up even more on both sides, and that's fine. Okay. I would say that it would be really nice to get an even coating of paint on here. So if you look at mine right now, you can see where the cardboard's kind of coming through, and then other places where it's darker white. So I'm going to come back with my paint, and I'm going to coat back over that. And I'm not even waiting for this to dry. You can just kind of smooth it out. and go over any spots that are kind of see-through. Again, this is so that when we tattoo our cardboard sculptures, the tattoos will show up, which is really cool. All right, once you've coated this whole thing, I want you to set it aside and let it dry really good. Like, I would say an hour. Just let it sit to the side and let it dry. And then come back if you have time and do the other side as well. Because both sides are going to show to some extent when we build our sculptures. So I want you to go ahead and have both sides painted. So this one's done. It has a little bit of the darker showing through, but not a ton. And so I'm going to set that to the side and let it dry. And then I'm going to demo this one as well just for a minute. This is one that's already opened up. I told you that I wanted you to also paint the opposite side. So again, if you're painting, just go right over the graphics. Same thing, paint through the middle. And then paint the sides and let it dry. And then come back about an hour later and turn it over and do the same. Once you do that, your painted cardboard is going to be very curvy. Like, it's going to pop up really easily, and it's going to look funny, like maybe it's its own cardboard sculpture by itself. And what I want you to do is find, after it's all dry, don't do this when it's wet, but when it's all dry, find some books you can stack it under, or something else that's heavy. So you're going to get a stack of books, heavy books, or anything else that's heavy that you can put on top of your cardboard and let it sit overnight, because it will press it back down flat so that it's easier to work on tomorrow when we get back together. So the goal is painted cardboard, white, both sides, minimal mess. All right. The other thing I want to talk to you about today, and I'm going to show you this really quick before I move on. Make sure you wash out your brush really well. You want to take your brush, put it in water, and bounce it up and down just like this. Swirl it around, and when you take it out, do you see there's still some paint on that? You want to do it again and repeat it, swish it. Don't dump the water out until it's all gone. And then you're going to leave it in the water until you can take it to a sink and really wash it completely out. All right, the other thing I want to show you today, because I want you to be prepped for tomorrow. We're going to do this part together tomorrow, but I want you to be thinking about patterns. So tomorrow we're gonna make a couple different cardboard sculptures, and you could actually modify it and make whatever you want. But I wanted you to understand a few things about patterns that stand up. So a pattern is something that you use to decide how big something's going to be and what it's going to look like when it's finished. So I want you to think about building animals and how many feet they have, what their body shape looks like, what their face looks like, what their ears or tails might look like. And then think about, if you had a whole body, what it would look like put together. So for instance, tomorrow in our first class, we're going to talk about building a cat. So if we think about a cat's body, it's round, like an oval, kind of like a round that's been squished a little bit. So you have round, and then you're going to have a head. And of course, the head is kind of an oval shape as well. And then other body parts you're going to have are like ears, right? We're going to have a tail. And then we're going to have some legs. And you can see that this is like a cat that's kind of been cut apart. And that's exactly right, because we're going to cut it out. So in this case, we're going to cut the legs out joined together. So we're going to make a horseshoe shape. And then we're going to come up and over. And of course, this is 2 feet. And we need another set of feet. So we're going to make one just like it. Right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to slot build this all together. So the other class, we're going to talk about how to build a dragon. So I'm showing this to you today because I want you to think about how any animal you make would have to be cut apart in pieces and then put back together, because we're going to use slot construction, but putting slots here and here. This is the bottom of the body, so here and here. The legs are going to go on. We're going to put a slot here and a slot there, and that's where the tail's going to go on. We're going to put a slot here and a slot here for where the head is going to go on. We're going to put a slot here and a slot here for where the ears are going to go on, and they're going to slide together through slot construction. So you might have a little bit of extra time after you paint today to think about what kind of pattern you might want to make. We're going to make a cat or a dragon tomorrow, but you might have a totally different animal you want to think about, but you just have to think about the parts that you want. So I'm excited to see you tomorrow, and we will be doing our slot construction to build an animal. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And if you have any questions, you can go back and revisit this, or I can answer them at the beginning of class. Have a great day.